Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, hello, Jen. How are
How are
you?
you, Max?
This is going to turn into just me and you talking to each other.
We have to
And
be professionals. Professionals. We can do
we,
it. Hi, everyone out there. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Jen Klonsky from Penguin Random House, and I am really, really happy to be here with Max Greenfield, author Max Greenfield. And I'm sure you all know that this is his second book that he has written. So he's got two books.
first one, second one.
Yes.
I'm here for visual
And
aids.
yes. So, Max, you're
Yes.
going to read from both of these books today, I think.
Ye-
And they are both available, signed copies, everyone. You can see this
yes.
link right here on the screen. Um,
Yeah,
so,
I
do you,
thought it would be fun because we have the time and we're here
yep,
and it's easy to do both of the books. I'll read both of them. You
yep.
can get either one, they'll both be signed. And I guess we could jump right in. So,
Jump right in because we'll do lots of questions after and we can hear more about why you wrote them and all that. But I think let's do it.
yeah. So this is, I don't want to read this book. Just a quick intro to the book. I had a very early on, I met Jen, I think over emails, maybe. I don't even think we had never even talked. But the idea of writing a children's book came about. And I said, well, if I was ever going to write a children's book, it would be a book called I Don't Want to Read This Book. And it'll be all the reasons why a child doesn't want to read a book. And by the end of that book, they'll have read a book. And I thought, that's a pretty good idea for a book. It'd be nice to do that. I would have loved to have written that book. And I never thought that I was going to be able to actually make the book. And Jennifer over at Penguin heard the idea and goes, this is a great idea. And the next thing you know, we were writing a book together. And Jen has been my partner on all these books. And it has been one of the great experiences of my life getting to make these. So let's read the first one. And it's a great way to jump into the next one. So this is I Don't Want to Read This Book, written by Max Greenfield. Obviously, that's me. I mean, maybe you didn't know. Illustrated by the great Mike Lowery, who Jen introduced me to, who has been the perfect partner on all of these. Obviously, we brought him back for the second one.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, here we go. This is always fun because I try to get the illustrations, Mike's great illustrations on camera, and it's always a challenge for me. I'm very good with technology. Thank you. The book for kids who don't like to read books. I Don't Want to Read This Book, written by Max Greenfield. You already know this. And illustrated again, you know this, by Mike Lowery. I don't want to read this book. I know it happens to be the title of this book, but let me make myself very clear. I really don't want to read it. I mean, why would I read this book? I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to open up the front cover only to find pages with, let me guess. If you're at home, you can guess. I won't hear you, but it'll still be fun. Words. Sometimes a lot of words. This is not one of those pages. But this one is. Look at this. Words, 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 words. Sometimes when I'm with kids, they want me to read every time it says it's long. It takes a lot. Anyway, look, most words are fine, like cake and YouTube, but some words are just plain ridiculous. Take the word doubt, for example. What is a bee doing in there? If no one can hear the bee, why do we have to see it? I doubt whoever put it there was very smart at all. Other words are just too big, like infinitesimal. If you can believe it, this word means small. Words like infinitesimal are the exact reason I don't want to read this book. As if words weren't bad enough, I'm sure this book also has its fair share of sentences, which are really just too many words all smushed together with a period at the end. Sentences are the worst. I don't ever want to read a book that has a sentence in it, period. You can hear that. That's the police. They're coming. They're not happy with the reading so far. Which brings me to paragraphs. I do not, under any circumstance, want to read a paragraph with a single I do not, under any circumstance, want to read a book with a single paragraph in it. Did you know that a paragraph could be more than half a page long? I have seen some that take up an entire page. I mean, what are these paragraphs trying to prove? Just looking at a paragraph exhausts me. I mean, all of those words. I would love to meet a person who is able to read a full paragraph and not lose their train of thought. As if anyone on earth wouldn't lose interest after a sentence or two and start thinking about other things, like how Ozzy threw his snack at Tilly today right in the middle of class, and how no one could believe it, and how Tilly was like, "What is wrong with you, Ozzy?" And how Ozzy was like, "What is wrong with you?" And how both of them started fighting, and it was a whole thing, and then there's total chaos, and it just, nobody, hold on, wait a minute. Where was I again? Oh yeah, paragraphs. I don't want to read any book that has a paragraph in it. Paragraphs belong in chapter books, and chapter books are for people with nothing better to do. Ugh. Chapter 2. I still don't want to read this book. All the things I could be doing that are more important. Hold on, let's do that. All the things I could be doing that are more important than reading this book. 1, eating cake. 2, eating cake while watching YouTube. 3, watching YouTube and not eating cake. But truth be told, I prefer to be eating cake. Ugh. My brain hurts and my eyes feel tired. Reading this book has been a truly miserable experience for me. Can't believe that I'm almost done with it. I did not want to read it. After I'm done reading this book, I am going to need some space. Ugh. I really don't want to read the last page. I already know what it's going to say. It's how all books end, as if anything could be any more predictable. Let's just get it over with, I guess. And if you know what's going to happen, you can just say it. I won't hear you, but it's still fun for you. The end. Hold on. Can't believe I just read this book. The chances of it ever happening again are infinitesimal. I was reading it with one group, and there was a woman in the back who said, 0. I said, 0? Chill out. This is my favorite page in the whole book. If you remember, this is what it's called, a callback. I said, I'm going to need some space, and then Mike Lowery drew this. Some space. The end.
I mean,
I imagine, Jen, that everyone's clapping, but I appreciate your claps.
I mean, everyone is crying, laughing, and clapping. And they love it so much, which is amazing. Excellent. So then you decided you had more today in this space, children's books. So we said, how about another book? I do want to do another book.
Yeah, and I got really excited.
Roll right into the second one? Hold on.
Yeah, why not? And then we can talk about it and answer questions and stuff. Yeah, I got really excited at the end of writing this book. And so, you know, when you write a book, as Jen knows, it takes a while for it to come out. And so I felt really antsy and I wanted to keep going. And so I pitched this idea for This Book Is Not a Present, which was sort of based on a video that I had sent to Jen that was sort of a launch video for this, to help strengthen the idea that, not that it needs strengthening, that there are certain kids out there that are reluctant to pick up a book and read it on their own. And it was a video of my son. I tricked him and I told him that I had bought him a present, and he got very excited and he said, "Oh, is it a Lego video game?" Which I don't think is a real thing, and nor do I think he thinks it's a real thing, but he likes video games and he likes Legos, and he sandwiched them together and he was so excited. And I said to him, "No, it's not." I said, "It's a book." And he got so angry. And then I started laughing, and he could tell maybe it was a joke, but even still, he was so upset. And then he tried to punch me, and I thought, oh, well, this this is a good idea for a book.
Yep.
And to this day, he's still upset about it. And I wanted to post that video as a promotion for this book, but he wouldn't let me. He was very embarrassed by it. He was embarrassed by his own behavior. So this book is for any child who you've ever witnessed open up a present, get through all the gift wrapping, realize it's a book, and then shift it aside real quick in anticipation of there being another present that isn't a book, something they could use immediately with their hands. I think reading a book in that moment and with having that level of excitement of receiving something is too much for these youngsters.
Yeah.
Okay, so this book is not a present. Written by Max Greenfield, again, that's me, and illustrated by the same man, the great Mike Lowery. The gift you never knew you wanted. This book is not a present. I know that it was disguised as a present, all beautifully wrapped, with a bow and a card attached, but let me assure you, it is very much not a present. I know presents. I'm friends with presents, and this book is no present. I just keep reliving the moment in my head, the moment just before I unwrapped it, expecting to find something, anything other than a book. Why couldn't it have been a dog? A dog is a present. A skateboard, that's a present. Even socks would have been a great present because at least socks would keep my feet warm while riding my skateboard and playing with what should have been my new dog. I would have named the dog Bingo. Listen, this isn't rocket science. This book is not a present for one reason and one reason alone. Now I feel like I have to read it. If I'm being honest, I didn't even really want to read the card. The present you can open over and over again. Ugh, barf. Look, I'm a doer, not a reader. This morning, for instance, I had a glorious time making myself a waffle sandwich for breakfast, or as I like to call them, waffle witches. However, just because I like to cook doesn't mean I have any interest in reading a cookbook. The same goes for any kind of instructions. Step 1, a book is not a present. Step 2, neither is a book of instructions that might be included with a present, making that present not a present. Step 3, a dog doesn't come with instructions. Also, as if I have time to read a book. Like I said, I'm very busy doing things. And when I'm not doing things, I'm thinking about things. I think about things all the time, and my thoughts are great. Books are full of someone else's thoughts, and even though reading someone else's thoughts sounds like a superpower, it's not one that I want. X-ray vision would have been a great present. How long is this book anyway? I mean, how many pages have I read? 22, and it's not done yet? This better not be a chapter book. If this book is a chapter book, I'm going to absolutely explode. I mean, what kind of person gets another person a chapter book and calls it a present? Oh no. Chapter 2. Gratitude. Don't get me wrong. I am appreciative. I mean, not for the thank you note that I definitely don't want to write. And when asked, I'll say that I've read this book. And then, just like the time my parents wanted to know if it was me who clogged the toilet with homemade slime, and I told them that it most definitely wasn't me, even though that same slime was all over my shoes and towels. For the second time in my life, I will be lying. Now I'm a liar. Again. Imagine how different my life would be had I just gotten Bingo the dog. I can't imagine a single occasion that would make it okay to give someone a book as a present. Not Christmas, not Flag Day, not a birthday, not tax day, not Hanukkah, not Kwanzaa, not the 4th of July, not Groundhog's Day, not Valentine's Day, not Easter, not National Donut Day, not even Cinco de Mayo, definitely not Halloween, maybe April Fool's Day. I would never do this to someone. Why? Because I'm an incredible listener, and I've never heard anyone say that they want a book as a present. If a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? The answer is yes. I heard it because that's how good a listener I am. And it said, please don't turn me into a book. I wish somebody would have listened to me. Maybe then they would have turned the tree into an electric guitar. Thank goodness. It looks like I'm done with this book that's still not a present. At least now, if someone asks, I'll be able to say that I've read it. I guess then I'll only have lied about the slime. Finishing this book does feel like the perfect present to myself. Maybe I'll write me a thank you note. To me, all I can say is, wow, thank you. You read this entire book that definitely wasn't a present. You must be very smart and also cool. From me. P.S. The end. Wait a minute. All right, fine. It was me who clogged the toilet with slime. There. My conscience is now clean.
I mean, 2 for 2. 2 for 2. I love hearing you read these books out loud. I've heard them a few times. And I want to say to everybody who's going to buy this book, you're going to be funny when you read it too. You don't have to do it the way he did it. You can.
Probably funnier than me.
Doubt it. Thank you for that. And I mean, you talked a little bit about why you wrote these books, but what does it all mean to you? Why did you do it? I know it was the pandemic and we were all sitting around, but this is really personal for you, these books. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the idea was front of mind during the pandemic because I was with my daughter every day in a room trying to be her 4th grade teacher and realizing, how much reading is involved with being a student, and forgetting about that and thinking about my own experience as a student and remembering how difficult it was for me to keep up with the amount, just the amount of reading. Reading was not something that came easy to me. Like anything else, it's a real skill. And I think when it's introduced to you early on, if it's not something that you pick up on right away, you can find yourself in a place where you're not feeling great about who you are or how smart you might be or how smart you might think you might be. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that that's necessarily a conversation that a lot of people are having, whether it be the teachers or parents initiating it with a student or a student having the courage to step outside of themselves and say that this is something that's challenging for me. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to write a book for those kids. I wanted to write a book that I wish that I had when I was a kid that said, this is hard. And these are the reasons why it's hard. And we definitely didn't want the book to talk down to those kids or to be oversimplified. We wanted to make a real argument on their behalf, on my behalf, that was saying, look, this is a lot. I know it's unavoidable because reading is such a part of our lives. And if I had done this in any other medium, it'd probably be a troubling message. But because it's a book, it starts a conversation that I think is really helpful to a lot of students. And I also think it works on another level where it's not just for those students. It could be for somebody who's a really incredible listener who just feels like tonight is not the night that I want to read, but I'll read this anyway. And it's fun to be, naughty. And so it's for everybody, but I do think it definitely was specifically written for a certain group of students that I think that I consider myself one of. Mm-hmm. The type of student that, potentially was looking around the class and going, I don't understand how she's read 3 Harry Potter books and I can't get through the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking about other things. And oh my God, I got to really concentrate when I'm reading this. And what we've seen, especially with the first book, the second book's really new, but the first book has become, and in my dreams, I'd hope that this was true, and it seems like it's been useful in this way, as a tool in class, for first grade, second grade classrooms. I think even beyond that to some degree, but where teachers are using this book as, I think specifically in those grades and librarians as well, you're just trying to find any way in. How can we get these kids to embrace reading? How can we get them? And I think we've talked a little bit about this, Jen, but like there's this expectation that you're supposed to fall in love with reading too, that this kind of subverts in a way where it says, we're not asking you to, this book is not asking you to fall in love with reading, but we're asking you to at least embrace it in a way as a part of life, because it is so important, and it opens
Mm-hmm.
everything up for you. And just know that like not everyone enjoys it in the way that it seems like you're so often expected to. And so again, we've seen so many teachers and librarians embrace this book in a way and use and they've utilized it in ways that I never imagined. And it's been so much fun to watch that. And the response from teachers has been so incredible. And one of the best messages that I get from so many teachers is, oh, I have the perfect student for this book. Oh, I know just who this book is perfect for. And it's like they know they like this book is for specific kids. And I do think it's important that it's read to everybody, so those kids aren't isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel a part of. So that's what I was feeling when I wrote the first one. And I really felt like there was a lot of stuff that didn't make the first book. And there was a lot of ideas that I still had floating around. And I thought, well, what would be a fun way to incorporate all those ideas into a book that felt like the first one, but wasn't like the first one. And we thought of this book as not a present. And I think it works in a ton of different ways. Again, it's for those kids who if you've never seen this happen, then I don't know that you've been around many kids before, but who have opened up a present and looked at, and like even just seen that it might be a book, or like seen the corner of a book and just gone, oh no. And like, what's next? I mean, this is my son, and he likes to read. And so we filtered a bunch of the ideas that didn't make the first book into this one. But I would say this one is just really, it's super fun. It feels like a really great gift. It does feel like the present, or the book that you do buy as a present. Because at least, it's wrapped in a bow and everything. And it is a really fun, I imagine a family giving this to their child opening it, having that fun reaction, and then being like, okay, well, after you've opened whatever else you're opening, let's sit down and read this, because it's a fun, sort of cool down after the excitement of ripping over. Like, all right, well, you can't go ride your bike right now. It's at, it's we're giving these presents to you at night. Let's read the book. And they're such fun reads. They're fun reads for parents. They're fun reads for kids. They're fun reads for the teachers. And I think they allow whomever is reading them to act really, really silly, which is something that I quite enjoy. And that my children, my daughter not so much anymore. She's pretty embarrassed, but my son does quite like a silly performance by dad. And I think that's also a really important part of these books, is that they are real performance pieces. It's something that I love. It's the books that I responded to as a kid, and certainly as a parent reading to my children. I love the books that have real emotion to them and tell a story and allow the reader to feel things in the moment. And these certainly live in that area where you can go real big with these and have a good time with your kids and hopefully laugh about a subject that either is just fun for them or might be a real area for them where they haven't yet talked about and that they want to explore more. And maybe these books are an avenue in.
Love the idea of everything you just said, including the fact that the very idea that you can choose books that are entertaining. Some people like a really challenging, thick, heavy book, and that's great. And it's also great to choose a book that's fun and is as entertaining as a Lego video game, which we should probably get on that idea, actually.
I think they have. I think they actually make them.
Okay, great. Whatever, we had that idea first. I also love that your titles just say it all. Like the setup is in the title. And I will say that this book is not a present. It's a great stocking stuffer because you don't even have to wrap it if you don't want to. Can you hold that one up, Max? It is looking like a present. I mean, hello. Ready to roll. Okay, can I ask you a couple of these we got some great questions in from some fans.
I love questions.
Great, let's do it. All right, here we go. So you sort of answered this, but Skylar from Missouri wants to know if your kids like these books. I think we just heard the answer, but sounds like 50-50?
They're a tough crowd, and they give me a real hard time. But I will say they do like the book. I had to dedicate each one to one of them. The first one's to my daughter, and the second one was dedicated to Ozzy, my son. And I think so now they actually, I think they have to like them because of that. So the answer would be yes.
Perfect. Love that. You okay with the Schmidt question?
Of course.
Yeah. So Brittany in Jacksonville has a great question. She wants to know, first she wants you to know that she loved you as Schmidt.
Thank you.
So she wants to know if Schmidt's persona comes out in your other characters or in your writing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there was a lot of improv on New Girl, and I'm not great at improving like in the moment. I mean, I'm okay with it, but I like to see what the scene is and then think about it for a second and then maybe like go, oh, it'd be funny if this was here or that was there. And that's basically writing. And so these books are probably more Schmidt than they are me. Because anything I did as that character or in that show, after a certain point was, as much as it was the character, it was more so like just what I thought was funny and what we thought would make other people laugh or each other laugh. And certainly writing these books is the same rhythm. I mean, Jen and I, we've done a couple readings, and there's a handful of New Girl people there. And when I just was up at Copperfield Books in Petaluma, and there was definitely a handful of New Girl people there. There were some kids, and I said, listen, be respectful of the kids. I know there's some New Girl. They're like, yeah. And I said, if you guys are good, if the New Girl fans can behave themselves, I will read the books as Schmidt. And then so I sort of did that to some degree, and then I realized there's not much. There's like really no difference. The books are sort of written in that tone and in that way.
Great, love it. All right, I think we have time for one more question, so I'm going to throw you a tough one. Are you ready?
Yes.
Peyton in Indiana wants to know if you're going to write another children's book. So are ya?
Yes, I'm going to write as many as I can.
That's great news. Love it. All right, let's not say too much about that.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay, but there's another one coming. We know this. We love this. All right, you can get signed copies of these books at premiercollectibles.com/Greenfield. So I think that's our time. Olivia, is that our time? Because we can stretch it out. I mean, what do you need, another 30? We've got this.
We're waiting on word from Olivia. 45 minutes at least.
Okay.
Great.
I've got a lot more questions here, so this is really good news.
Go for it.
Okay, great. Here we go. There's an acting question. This is not a writing question. Are you ready? Let's switch gears. Matt from Chicago wants to know, how did you get started in your acting career?
It's weird. I don't know how anyone really gets started. But it's definitely something that I was always really curious about. And then sort of eased my way into it. I didn't grow up with like one of these phenomenal theater programs, and none of that was readily available to me. And so it wasn't until I moved out to Los Angeles that I started to explore some acting classes, and then had some really great teachers out there, and then worked a little bit here and there, and then learned a lot on the fly, just auditioning for stuff. And at some point during all of that, just realized I love this and I want to do this forever. And I think anytime you have that feeling about something, it connects you to that thing in such a way where you want to do it as much as you can and get really good at it. I still don't know that I've done that part, but I've definitely acted a lot. I don't know that I've gotten any good at it, but yeah, I think that's the only way I can really answer that one.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Brian from California is asking if you're ever going to write a memoir.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Not for me.
Okay, great. Well, that's easy. I knew you were going to say that. Chris from California wants to know your favorite memory from filming New Girl.
I mean, there's so many. I will say, in general, I laughed on that set harder and more often than I have ever laughed in any situation in all of my life. Like tear laughing, uncontrollable, ruining takes, having to like get my makeup redone because it looks like a tragedy has occurred. But it really was just me and Jake Johnson doing something so unbelievably dumb, either on or off camera, that we couldn't control ourselves. No one else is laughing, just the two of us. And they're like, it's questionable whether this behavior is professional or not, but also a lot of it's on screen.
Listen, I think laughing till you're crying at work, always a sign of a good time.
I agree.
All right, we're gonna move to. Oh no, I have a great question from Lindsay, and I'm dying to hear your answer.
Ooh.
She's in Texas, and she wants to know your favorite part of fatherhood. It's a two-part question. Hold. Okay. Favorite part of fatherhood, and what you all like to do as a family. It's a great question.
Oh my God! So there's a big gap between our son and our daughter. I think it's like five plus years. It's so hard to find stuff that everyone enjoys as a family. It's often moments that are sort of surprising, like we didn't think that everybody would like this, or that just come together organically and you're like, oh my God, everybody is doing this together. We did really have a good time. So like my son is now 7 and he's up and he's doing stuff and he's more ambitious now. We like the beach. We'll go down to the beach. We live in LA, which is really nice, and we've been utilizing the beach a lot. And I bought the kids boogie boards over the summer, and we got like good boogie boards. If you ever boogie board, you need good ones. And we got good boogie boards, and then we'll all go and like I'll watch. There was one point where, because you're like, the kids they'll hang out for a couple of minutes, and then it always ends up in some like fight or like, Lily did this or that, and you're like, be nice to your brother, and you're like, stop crying. That's all. But it really was like, I don't know. Is there a connection between these two? I'm not even really sure. And they were boogie boarding one day, and they were both going in on the same wave. And they had taken a couple, and there was one where they held hands, and they were going in. It was really sweet. And then Lily sort of fell off her boogie board and went down. And I was behind them, and I could see Ozzy in a state of complete panic. He grabs the sides of his boogie board and looks back and goes, "No!" And I went, and in my head, I was like, she's totally fine. I was like, he really loves her. That was that was a panic. That was a love panic. And I would say that my favorite part of fatherhood is those moments where, you get to witness stuff that just makes you feel so complete and full and bigger than, you would ever, or more full than you had ever thought you'd be. And you're like, oh, good. All right. The moments where you're looking at them and you're like, I don't think these are bad people. I think we're doing okay.
Kind of the ultimate parenting goal.
Yeah, it's just every once in a while you're like, I think they're okay.
I think they're going to be all right. Good. Okay. We're moving to 22 questions.
I can't wait.
I don't think we're going to do all 22 questions, but I picked some of my faves for you.
Are they rapid fire?
No. That's
okay,
the
good.
whole thing. They really don't have to be.
Okay, because this is my biggest night. This is my biggest night. Rapid fire questions is maybe my biggest fear.
That's a little panic inducing. We're going to be very relaxed about it.
It's fine.
We're going to take
I'll
our
take
time.
it on. I've got to move
no
through
wrong
the fear.
answers.
Great.
Got this. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Let's start easy. Just where were you born?
New York City, New York. I don't know which hospital. I don't know. I gotta figure. I gotta find that out.
You need to get to the bottom of that.
I think NYU, but I'm not sure.
All right. Let me know. Circle back on that.
I will.
Okay. Who would you want to play you in a movie?
Whoa, really good question. Who would I want to play me in a movie? Oh my gosh. Probably Jake Johnson, just because it would be so funny.
That's awesome.
And he'd hate it too.
Perfect. Love that. All right. What chore do you hate doing?
I'm actually a big fan of chores. Anything that involves the computer, any chore like any like computer chores where I have to go through emails and it's just like busy work that like it's too hard for me. It's hard for me to organize all of that.
Feel you.
And then I get frustrated.
Well, that brings us right to our next question, which is, what is your biggest fear?
Rapid fire questions. I'm not joking. I did the Family Feud with the cast of The Neighborhood, and they had said, look, if you win, if you beat the other family, and you have to do the rapid fire question round, it's going to be Cedric, and then it's going to be you, and you have to make a certain amount of money. And then we were playing for Cedric's charity. And I go backstage as Cedric goes out first. And Cedric is so unfazed by any of this. Like, his heart rate just doesn't go a blip up. And I go backstage and they put these headphones on me. I'm like, oh, wow, I really can't hear anything that's happening right now. And I go, okay, well, that's, a good thing. This is how the show works. It would be weird if you cheated. But at the same time, I go, ooh, I don't like this. I like having my lines. And so I then go out there. I don't know how much he's made. I don't know. I do think they tell you how much. He did really well, and I had to just clear a small sum of money. But I thought, if there's anyone who's going to blow this, it's me. And I like to think about what I'm saying. Most questions, I think I try to give a thoughtful answer. And so he starts ripping, and they put a clock on it, and they start ripping these questions off. And I honestly thought I was going to faint. I was like, this is the worst. And there were some that I gave absurd answers to, and luckily there was a few, like there was a couple layups. There was like, name a color. I was like, a red. But it was awful. It was too under the gun. I was like, I don't like this. I don't like it. I guess being rushed would be the real fear.
It's like, did you basically like come to and said like, what happened? And they say you won.
There's two moments in my life where if they told me 3 hours later, hey man, you're waking up, it's good. It was that moment, but you fainted. And I'm like, that makes total sense. Would be Family Feud. And I threw out the first pitch at Dodger Stadium. And when I walked out to the mound and I looked up, I went, oh my God. And felt it through my whole body. And I thought, I'm going to faint. If that wave had hit me just a touch harder, I was out.
Did you make a good throw?
I threw a laser. It was good. I've got to go down. But man, oh man, there was a good chance that ball was going nowhere because I would have just been down on the mound.
You made it though. You did it.
Thank God.
You stayed upright.
Barely.
Okay. Who makes you laugh the most?
Oh gosh. There's a lot of people that make me laugh. Right now, my family for sure. All three of them, my wife, 2 kids, they're all very funny. They're equally frustrating and annoying.
Sure. As long as one piece of that pie is funny.
They hit on every level.
That's right. What is something you need to have in your fridge at all times?
Oh my gosh. Probably almond milk because I take it in my coffee. I'm okay with regular milk, but I like almond milk, oat milk. It's good.
You gotta have the coffee. You can't do without.
If I don't have the coffee, we're in real trouble.
Yeah. What's your biggest pet peeve? Rapid fire questions. No, we're not going to keep using that.
My biggest pet peeve. Oh, it's easy. It's easy. Leaving the cabinets open. I think that's a lot of people's. Apparently, I've heard that a lot lately. I think during the pandemic, that was like a big thing. Like people are like, "What is wrong? Why do you leave these out?" And I won't say who, but there are people in my household who do that. And rather than start a fight, I just secretly I take it in, I internalize it, and I hold on to it, so that later when something else happens, that frustration all comes out. But this is like I guess this isn't therapy, but.
Amazing. Do you have any hidden talents?
No. I wish. If I had any talents, trust me, I'm not trying to hide them. I'm here to show you all of them. Please. I wish I had something. God almighty, I wish I was musical.
Well, you're a little musical.
Tiny bit.
Yeah.
I know a few chords on the guitar.
But you got a little something cooking there.
I know, but when I'm around people that are actually musical, I go, ooh, I am not musical.
Well, listen, on our off time, I'll teach you how to do the alphabet backwards, which is my hidden talent.
Oh, that's pretty good. It would take me 3 hours to do that. So okay, hold on. So that one, then that one.
I've got a great one for you. The question is, what is your pet's name?
Joey.
Do we need to talk about Joey a little bit?
Joey's the best.
Do you ever do anything to really take care of him as far as his food? I mean, I'm sure you don't go out of your way to prepare special food for Joey.
Joey, I've been cooking for Joey lately.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's right.
Not dog food. We had him for a while, and they were like, "You want to just give the dog food? That's the responsible thing to do. His diet should be consistent." Totally hear you. And then Joey got sick, and we're not sure how long Joey has to live, and so now Joey gets steaks, and I don't care what anybody says.
Joey's living his best life. He
I
is
hope
so
it.
loved over there.
I hope he is. I mean, I came up. Tess goes, "Are you making that for yourself?" I go, "No." I go, "This is for Joey." That looks really good. I go, "I know it does. It's not for me."
Of course it does. It's for Joey.
Yeah, I made him the other night. I made him like it was shredded steak and vegetable because he needs his vegetable, and all these like chopped vegetables. Put a little olive oil, salt in there, just like got it real good, and made a bunch for the cup for a couple days, and then I finished that, and I was like, "Whew." And then for myself, because I made it around dinner time, I think I like had a tortilla and spread some peanut butter on it, and I was like, "This will do. I don't care. I'm gonna die. This dog is gonna live on forever."
You're an excellent dog dad. I'll say that. Okay, I think we have time for one more, which is, where do you want to go that you've never been?
I don't know. I like to be surprised. I don't have any place that I haven't been to a lot of places. And every time I'm like, my wife will drag me to places, and she's like, she took me to Paris, and I was like, before we went, I go, "Do we really want to go? This feels like a whole thing." And then we got there, and I go, "Get it." And now I see what everybody's talking about. This is great. This place is beautiful. The food is great. Everybody, this is like, I'm really glad we came. So like, I don't have any places that I want to go, but there's places that I probably should go that someone should be like, "You need to go." Spain seems interesting.
I think people are talking about it. Get
People
yourself
seem
there.
to really like Spain.
I don't know. I've heard good things.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I guess you want to hold up the books one more time?
Yes. So the first one, we love it. I don't want to read this book. The newest edition. Here's what's really is this book is not a present, but what I really love is this. Yeah. I like them next to each other.
They look so good together.
They really, really do.
Yeah, do.
They're the hottest couple in the literary world. These two books. This book is not a present, and I don't want to read this book.
Well.
Everybody's talking.
And you can get signed copies at premiercollectibles.com/Greenfield.
Oh, yeah.
That's where you can get your signed copies. Signed by him. Look at him. He's signing right now. Look at him go. Well, he's not signing right now, but they really are signed by Max Greenfield. So, Max, thanks for being here and doing this.
And this was I love seeing you. And so to have you on here with me was a real treat.
And that's it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, this is John Acuff, New York Times best-selling author of 7 books and someone who's done a live signing. If you like the one you just watched, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's full of amazing authors having great conversations and signing books for viewers just like you. So make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching today.